My friends, every great movement in history began not with wealth, not with status, but with a word spoken in faith. Words have power. They shape destinies, they create nations, and they awaken sleeping giants. The tongue, as simple as it seems, carries the weight of life and death. And so I stand before you today to remind you what you speak, you become. Think of the farmer who places a single seed in the soil. He does not see fruit today nor tomorrow, yet he speaks to his field through faith. This land will yield a harvest, and because he believes it, he rises each morning, waters the seed, and guards the soil. In time, through patience, labor, and perseverance, that spoken vision becomes his reality. The same is true of our lives. Too many among us declare defeat before the battle has begun. We say, I am nothing. I have no chance. The world is against me, and so we become what we declare. But I urge you today, change your confession. Speak of hope, speak of courage, speak of your future until your soul believes it. History is filled with ordinary people who chose extraordinary words. A young woman born into poverty whispered every night, one day I will teach the world. She became a voice for education that lifted nations. A man confined to a wheelchair spoke, I will not be a prisoner of my body. His ideas changed science forever. These men and women did not wait for circumstances to agree with them. They declared who they were before the world saw it. And now it is your turn. What is it you must speak into existence? Is it freedom from fear? Speak it. Is it healing in your home? Speak it. Is it a vision for a business, a ministry, a legacy? Speak it until the world is forced to acknowledge what heaven already knows about you. Yes, the road will not be easy. There will be days when silence feels safer, when doubt knocks louder than hope. But remember this, words spoken in faith are seeds of change. Guard them, water them, and refuse to let the weeds of negativity choke them out. I say to you today, with the conviction of my soul, you are not a mistake. You are not a shadow in history. You are chosen to rise, to influence, to inspire, and to transform. But it begins with your mouth. So let us leave this moment with one declaration in our hearts and on our lips. Speak it until you become it. Say it when you wake. Say it when you stumble. Say it when others laugh. Speak your destiny until it stands before you. And when it does, remember, you were the one who called it forth. The future is not waiting to be discovered. It is waiting to be declared. My friends, the world is listening. Heaven is listening. Now it's time for you to speak. Speak it, live it, become it. What you speak, you become. This is not just a phrase. It is a principle, a law of life that governs every one of us, whether we accept it or not. From the very beginning of time, creation itself was framed by words. The universe did not begin with hands moving or machines working. It began with a voice, a word spoken with authority, with faith, with purpose. And what was spoken became reality. My friends, your life operates under the same law. The words you speak every day, whether in private or in public, whether whispered in fear or shouted in faith, are shaping the reality you are living in right now. Many people don't realize that they are living inside the world they have been building with their own tongue. If you consistently declare, I can't, then you become a person who cannot. If you keep saying, I'm broke, I'm weak, I'm nothing, then eventually you live out that prophecy. What you speak, you become. But let me tell you something powerful. The opposite is also true. When you dare to speak with courage, when you declare, I am able, I am strong, I will overcome, your words become the blueprint of your future. You might not see it instantly, you might not feel it today, but you are planting seeds with every declaration. And in time, those seeds will produce a harvest that looks exactly like the words you spoke. Think about the farmer who goes out into a field. He does not put a seed into the soil and then curse the ground because nothing happened in an hour. No, he understands that the process takes time. The rain must fall, the sun must rise, the soil must nurture what he has planted. He waits, he waters, he believes. And eventually what he spoke in expectation becomes what he sees in reality. The same is true for you. You are planting seeds with your words every day. Some of you are planting seeds of greatness. Others are planting seeds of defeat. The field doesn't decide what grows, the sower does. The soil doesn't choose the harvest, the seed does. So I ask you, what are you planting with your mouth? Let me share a story with you. There was once a young man who grew up in a community where everyone told him, you'll never amount to anything. People like you don't succeed. For years, he believed those words and lived a small life. But one day, he decided to change what he was saying. Every morning he spoke over himself, I am destined for more, I will rise above, I will not stay where I am. At first, nothing seemed to change. People laughed, some told him he was crazy. But he kept speaking it day after day, and eventually the doors began to open. Opportunities found him. Strength rose within him. That young man became a leader, a mentor, a voice for change. Why? Because what he spoke, he became. Now I want you to think about your own life. What words are you repeating to yourself? Are you speaking life or are you speaking death? Are you building your future with words of faith or are you destroying it with words of fear? Don't underestimate the power of your tongue. The mind listens, the heart listens, even your environment responds. Some of you right now are standing in the middle of a life that feels too small for your dreams. But I need you to understand, your future is waiting in your mouth. The next level of your life is not locked behind money or status or luck. It is locked behind the words you choose to release. What you speak, you become. When you wake up and say, this is the day I will make progress, your actions start aligning with that declaration. When you say, I will not quit, no matter the struggle, your spirit begins to gather strength. When you say, I am more than my past, I am bigger than my pain, I am greater than my fears, you shift the atmosphere around you and slowly your life begins to look like your language. Look around at history. The men and women who changed the world were not always the strongest, not always the wealthiest, not always the most talented, but they were always the ones who spoke what others could not yet see. They spoke of freedom when slavery was normal. They spoke of equality when injustice was law. They spoke of innovation when the world said, it can't be done. And in time, they became the very thing they had spoken. So let me remind you again, with all the urgency in my heart, what you speak, you become. Faith-filled words turn ordinary people into extraordinary history makers. You see, the difference between a common life and a life that shapes generations is not found in education alone, not in wealth, not even in natural talent. It is found in a person's ability to believe something so deeply that they dare to speak it, even when the world around them cannot see it. Every great achievement began as an invisible idea carried on the wings of words. The airplane was once a dream, laughed at, ridiculed, even called impossible. But two brothers stood on a windy field and spoke with faith. It can fly. They were not engineers from prestigious universities. They were not backed by empires of wealth. They were simple men, bicycle makers with grease-stained hands and ordinary resources. But they had faith-filled words. And because they spoke it, believed it, and acted upon it, history now remembers them not as bicycle repairmen, but as pioneers of the skies. This is the mystery of greatness. Words spoken with faith have the power to reframe how history will remember you. Think of a young woman who was once told, your place is silent, your place is small. But she refused to repeat those words. Instead, she declared, I will not remain silent, I will rise, I will fight for justice. And she became a voice that awakened the conscience of nations. What made her extraordinary? Not that she was born different from anyone else, but that she spoke differently. She released words into the atmosphere that carried a weight far heavier than her circumstances, and those words transformed her from ordinary to unforgettable. The truth is, the world is shaped by voices, not by silence. History does not remember those who simply existed. It remembers those who dared to declare in faith something greater than what was visible. Faith-filled words ignite vision, and vision fuels transformation. Let me speak directly to you. You may feel small, overlooked, unprepared, maybe even unworthy, but you must understand greatness is not about where you begin. It is about what you declare over yourself and what you choose to believe. If your words are chained to fear, you will remain ordinary, but if your words are filled with faith, you unlock the extraordinary. Even in the scriptures, ordinary fishermen became world shakers not because they were educated in the world's finest schools, but because they spoke and carried faith-filled words that spread like fire. Their voices outlived their lifetimes, echoing across generations. Look at your own life. What words have you been speaking? Have you been telling yourself, I can't do this, I will never make it. People like me don't succeed. If that is your confession, then that is the script you are handing to your future. But if you can begin to shift your words, even when everything around you contradicts them, then you set in motion a new story. Imagine a student who speaks every day, I am intelligent, I will rise, I will make an impact, while others mock them for struggling in class. Over time, the student begins to see opportunities, resources, and strength they did not see before. Why? Because faith-filled words open doors the eyes cannot yet see. Imagine a man starting with nothing, but he declares, I will build something that will outlast me. Every time he repeats those words, his vision grows. And though people may laugh, though setbacks may come, though failures may visit, he holds on to those faith-filled words. And one day, what he spoke is standing before him in reality, and those same people who laughed now look to him as an example. Faith-filled words are not empty slogans. They are fuel for destiny. They remind your soul of what it was created to do. They tell your fear it has no authority. They tell you your weakness. It cannot dictate your story. They tell your circumstances they must bend to your vision. And this is why history remembers some names and forgets others. Not because some were born extraordinary, but because they refused to remain ordinary. They had the courage to declare what others could not see. And in time, their faith-filled words became monuments in the pages of history. Your future is not waiting to be discovered. It's waiting to be declared. So many people live as if life is some kind of treasure hunt, as if their destiny is buried somewhere in the sand, waiting for them to stumble upon it by luck or by chance. They walk through life with hesitation, hoping one day they will discover something that will finally define them. But the truth is far greater than that. Your future is not hiding from you. It is not an accident you must discover. It is a vision you must speak into existence. The reason many people never rise to their potential is because they wait for signs, for circumstances, for the world to hand them permission to step forward. But life does not respond to waiting. It responds to declaring. It responds to the sound of a voice that says, "This is who I am. This is where I am going. This is what I will achieve." When a builder designs a skyscraper, he does not wait for the building to appear out of the ground on its own. He draws the plans, he declares the design, he makes visible on paper what does not yet exist in reality. The building was not discovered, it was declared into being. And so it is with your future. There are people right now living inside the vision of someone who dared to declare it. Cities we live in, businesses we use, movements we follow, all of them were once invisible. They were once thoughts unspoken, ideas locked in silence. But the moment someone opened their mouth and declared, "This will exist, this will happen, this will come to pass," the invisible started to take shape. Your future is waiting for that same declaration, not timid words of doubt, not passive whispers of maybe, but strong faith-filled declarations that align with the greatness planted in you. Because when you speak, you do more than release sound, you release authority. Consider a young man who grew up in a small village, overlooked, unnoticed. Everyone around him believed his life would amount to nothing more than the same cycle of struggle that trapped those before him. But this young man chose to declare something different. Every morning he said, "I will rise above. I will see the world. I will impact nations." People laughed. Some called him foolish, but he kept declaring it. His words guided his steps, shaped his decisions, opened his eyes to opportunities others could not see. And in time, that young man stood on platforms across the world, influencing lives far beyond his village. He did not discover his future. He declared it. Too often we are waiting for life to show us a path, when in truth, life is waiting for us to speak the path into being. Waiting will keep you stagnant. Declaring will push you into action. Think about the pioneers who shaped history. They were not people who stumbled into destiny by mistake. They were people who opened their mouths and declared something greater than their environment. They said, "There must be freedom." They said, "There must be equality." They said, "There must be a better way." And because they declared it, they set in motion a chain of events that shifted nations. Now the question is, what have you been declaring about your own life? Do you wake up and say, "Nothing ever works for me, I'm not meant for more, I'll never rise"? If those are the words on your lips, then those are the boundaries of your future. Or do you wake up and say, "I am not finished, I am not small, I will build, I will grow, I will overcome"? Because if that is your declaration, then that is the future that will begin to unfold before you. Your mouth is the pen that writes your future. Every word you speak is a sentence in the story of your destiny. You cannot wait to discover who you are meant to be. You must declare it boldly until everything around you aligns with it. There will be resistance, there will be doubt, but declaration creates direction, and direction shapes destiny. Your future will not simply appear out of nowhere. It is summoned by your voice. It is called forth by your words. And the moment you begin to declare it, the universe itself begins to shift in your favor. Words spoken in faith are seeds of change. Every seed carries a hidden future. When you hold a seed in your hand, it looks small, insignificant, almost powerless. But inside that seed is an entire tree, an entire harvest, an entire forest waiting to happen. The seed does not reveal its greatness at first glance, but with the right conditions, soil, water, sunlight, and time, it grows into something far greater than itself. Your words operate the same way. When you open your mouth and speak in faith, you are planting seeds into the soil of your destiny. At first, those words may seem invisible, too small to matter. But given time, they begin to take root. They begin to grow. And eventually, they transform into the reality you see before you. Words spoken in faith are seeds of change. Too many people underestimate the power of their own voice. They treat their words as casual, empty, meaningless. But every word you speak is like a seed tossed into the field of your future. Some seeds will grow into life, hope, strength, and progress. Others will grow into fear, doubt, weakness, and despair. The soil of life is ready to grow whatever you plant. The choice of seed belongs to you. Consider a person who constantly says, "Nothing ever works out for me. I will never succeed. My life will always be hard." Those words are seeds. They drop into the ground of the future, and slowly they produce weeds of discouragement, thorns of limitation, and a harvest of failure. That person looks at their life and says, "See, I was right," but what they don't realize is that they are eating from the garden they planted with their own mouth. Now imagine another person in the exact same situation. No resources, no advantages, no support. But instead of speaking despair, they begin to declare, "I will rise, I will overcome it. This is not the end for me. My story is still being written." Those words also fall into the soil of the future. And though at first nothing looks different, the seeds begin to work. Opportunities start to align. Inner strength begins to grow. Courage begins to blossom. And in time, that person eats from a garden of victory. Why? Because words spoken in faith are seeds of change. History is filled with men and women who prove this principle. Ordinary individuals who, in the face of impossible odds, planted seeds with their words. Leaders who declared freedom when chains were still on their wrists. Visionaries who declared possibility when the world laughed at the idea. Innovators who declared progress when no evidence of progress existed. Their words became seeds, their seeds became movements, and their movements changed the course of history. Think about it this way. A farmer does not look at an empty field and say, "Nothing is growing here, so nothing will ever grow here." No, he takes seeds in his hand and plants them in faith. He believes that beneath the soil, even though he cannot see it, something is happening. And so he waters the ground, he protects it from weeds, he waits with patience. Eventually, what he planted in hope, he harvests in reality. That is the power of words. Just because you don't see instant change doesn't mean your words are not working. Seeds take time. Change takes time. Growth takes time. But if your words are filled with faith, they will not return empty. You may be facing challenges right now that look unmovable. You may feel stuck in a situation that has lasted far too long. But I challenge you, plant new seeds with your mouth. Stop repeating the language of defeat. Stop feeding your future with words of fear. Begin to speak differently. Say, "This mountain will move. This season will shift. This storm will pass. I am stronger than ever. I am greater than this struggle." These are not just positive phrases, they are seeds. And when you sow them with faith, they produce change. And here is the beauty of it. Seeds never grow into what they are. They grow into what they are destined to become. A seed of corn becomes a stalk filled with corn. A seed of hope becomes a future filled with possibility. A seed of faith becomes a harvest of transformation. Your words today are not small. They carry tomorrow's breakthroughs. So watch what you plant. Every conversation is a field. Every declaration is a seed. Every word is pregnant with potential. And if you choose to fill your mouth with faith, if you choose to plant words of life, then over time, the harvest you will reap will be one of change, growth, and destiny fulfilled. Speak it when you rise. Speak it when you stumble. Speak it until the world sees it. Every single day, the first voice you hear is your own. When your eyes open in the morning, before the world has a chance to tell you who you are, before circumstances remind you of yesterday's failures, your own words set the tone for the day ahead. What you say when you rise is not a routine, it is a prophecy. And so I say, speak life when you rise. Speak courage when you rise. Speak strength when you rise, because your morning confession becomes your day's direction. But here is the truth we must all face. Rising is easy when the sun is shining, when victories are fresh, when progress is visible. The real test is when you stumble, when life hits you harder than expected, when your plans collapse, When you fall flat on your face, it is at that moment that your words matter most. Many give up in the stumble because their mouth agrees with their pain. They say, I can't get back up. I'll never recover. It's over for me. And so their stumble becomes their grave. But there are others who stumble and still dare to speak. They may be on the ground, but they declare, I will rise again. I will not end here. This fall is temporary, and my story is not finished. Those words spoken in the dust are what lift them to their feet again. You see, the stumble is not your enemy. Silence in the stumble is your enemy. If you can still speak, you can still move forward. If you can still declare, you can still change the outcome. Because what you speak in your lowest moments has the power to determine whether you remain in defeat or rise again in strength. Now here is where persistence enters. You must speak it not once, not twice, not only on the good days or the easy days. You must speak it until the world sees it. Every great destiny requires consistency of declaration. Think about the artist who painted in obscurity, declaring with every brushstroke, the world will see my gift. Think about the inventor who failed hundreds of times, yet each time declared, I am closer to the breakthrough. Think about the leader who was rejected, mocked, ignored, but still spoke, I was born to change lives. Over time, the world had no choice but to see what they had been speaking all along. When you declare your future, you are not convincing the world. You are convincing yourself first. You are building inner faith, inner resilience, inner clarity. But if you keep speaking it long enough, something powerful happens. The world begins to align with your words. Opportunities you never saw before start to appear. People who once doubted you begin to notice. Circumstances shift to match the vision you have been declaring. But remember, the world does not see immediately. There will be long stretches when it feels like your declarations are echoing into silence. You will say, I am destined for more, but still be standing in the same small place. You will say, I will succeed while facing another failure. You will say, I will rise while lying flat on your back. And it is in those moments that the temptation to stop speaking is greatest. But this is the secret. The consistency of your declaration is the soil that produces your harvest. Speak it when you rise. Speak it when you stumble. Speak it when nothing looks like it will ever change. Because persistence in your words is the proof of your faith. The world is filled with voices that will try to silence you. Critics will mock. Doubters will whisper. Circumstances will scream. But you must outspeak them all. Your voice must be louder than your fear. Your declaration must be stronger than your discouragement, because when you keep declaring, you keep moving. And when you keep moving, eventually, what you speak begins to take form. Every champion you admire, every leader you respect, every pioneer you study, they all had to live this principle. They spoke when they rose, they spoke when they stumbled, and they kept speaking until the world had no choice but to see what they had declared. So remember, your voice is not weak. Your words are not empty. They are the seeds, the fuel, the foundation of your destiny. Speak when you rise to set the course of your day. Speak when you stumble to remind yourself the fall is not the finish. And above all, keep speaking until the world sees what you have been saying all along. My friends, we have walked through a truth that cannot be ignored. Your words are not ordinary. They are the blueprint of your destiny, the seeds of your future, the compass of your life. What you speak, you become. Faith-filled words have the power to lift you from ordinary into extraordinary. Your future is not hiding, waiting for you to stumble upon it. It is waiting for you to declare it boldly. And every declaration you make in faith is a seed planted for change, a seed that will grow if you continue to water it with consistency. That is why you must speak it when you rise, because your morning words shape your day. You must speak it when you stumble, because your voice has the power to pull you out of the dust. And above all, you must keep speaking it until the world has no choice but to see what you have believed all along. The power of life and death is not in the hands of your enemies, not in the grip of your failures, not in the weight of your past. It is in your tongue. With your words, you either build a prison or construct a future. With your words, you either chain yourself to fear or launch yourself into purpose. So let your mouth become a fountain of faith. Let your voice declare what your eyes cannot yet see. Let your words call forth the future that is waiting for you. Because once you understand this truth, nothing can stop you. Not the critics, not the setbacks, not even your own fears. Speak it, live it. Become it, and let your life be the evidence that words spoken in faith truly have the power to change the world.